7:06 now. Panthers fans feeling excited because football is in the air. Today, the Panthers hold their first practice of training camp.
This year, camp's going to be in Uptown, but fans won't be able to watch it because of construction of the new practice facility. But that's not stopping the excitement, that's for sure. Joining us now to talk Panthers sports director Nick Carboni. Nick, good to see you. Thanks for waking up early with us. All right, let's begin with expectations, because I know the team's expectations are one thing. I'll put that over on one side. But then also you have those expectations from fans and national media. How do you separate those?
Yeah, good morning, Ben. Good morning, Lisa. Yeah, they run the gamut, right? Those expectations, depending on who you talk to. If you talk to Panthers fans, I know some of them are expecting double-digit wins based on the way that Bryce Young specifically closed last season. He had 18 touchdowns over his last 9 games, and that was after being benched 2 weeks into the season and really having no hope of being back on the field for the Panthers again. But they put him back in. He excels. He finds his confidence. So fans are looking at that, especially the last game, 5 touchdowns and a win at rival Atlanta, and thinking, okay, he's got it. He's found it, and that's going to carry us. National media is on the other end of that spectrum. They're saying, more or less same old Panthers, maybe 6 wins, not even close to the playoffs. They don't have the roster that's good enough. And a lot of them are still skeptical that Bryce Young is going to live up to those number 1 pick expectations. And then I think you have where the team is. And I think this organization, for all the dysfunction that there has been the last 10 years or so, I think it's a very grounded organization right now. They consider this not the longest term project. Former coach Matt Rule once said a 7-year project, and people didn't like that, and he's not here anymore. But they know that they are in year 2 under this general manager, Dan Morgan. They know that they are in year 2 under this head coach in Dave Canales, and they're building the roster that way. The national media looks and says, you still have this lack of star all-pro, Pro Bowl talent throughout the roster. I think what the front office here would tell you is, yeah, but we're building up to getting to the point where we have it at just about every position. So in their minds, this is year 2 of still something that's a process and a project. In fact, GM Dan Morgan yesterday, he gave us kind of an opening salvo for training camp. And what's the word he didn't say? Playoffs. That's not a publicly stated goal for this team. Of course, they'd like to compete for a spot in the postseason for the first time since 2017. But they are really grounded in their approach to building this roster and doing something that can have sustained success rather than just a flash in the pan.
Nick, we have Chris joining us here at the desk as well. But the team, they picked up a wide receiver in the first round of the draft, which was a surprise for a lot of people. What do you expect from him in training camp and in his rookie year?
Yeah. And hey, Chris, sorry I forgot you, buddy. My Boston sports friend. Let's not talk about the Red Sox, though, please. Goodness, no. Yeah, so Lisa, you're talking about Tetairoa McMillan, and he is a very tall, smooth athlete out of the University of Arizona. Everybody thought on draft night, and I talked to you guys the next morning, the Panthers were picking defense. They had a guy in their backyard, Jalen Walker in Salisbury, North Carolina, ready to go, raring to come down here. He goes to Atlanta because the Panthers pick McMillan. Picking McMillan is a clear effort to upgrade the players around Bryce Young so he can take that next step in his development. So, listen, from a reporter's perspective, reporting on a flashy new wide receiver at the beginning of training camp is a dream. We'll see how it goes. One thing I will say about McMillan and last year's first-round pick, Xavier Legette, who I think will improve this year, the biggest problem he had last year was dropping the football. That's just not something McMillan did in college very often, if at all. So having a big target for Bryce Young to throw to and rely on to catch the ball down the field in the end zone was a real priority for this team, and that's why they snagged McMillan, and we'll get a chance to see him today. He did sit out the last couple of days of minicamp back in June. They're being a little cautious with a hamstring injury, so hopefully he's out there today this morning.
And I'm really excited, Nick, because McMillan's also gotten like Mike Evans comparison. So as Panthers fans, we've seen plenty of Mike Evans over the years. But I also
too much.
Yeah, too much, right? I also want to bring up kind of the depth chart here, because at the end of the season, I really saw Bryce Young throwing to a lot of tight end play with Timble, but then also Coker kind of seemed like he evolved. What are kind of some of the deeper roster elements that you think, because everyone says Bryce Young doesn't have enough weapons. Do you think he has enough weapons this year?
I think they've definitely made improvements or the efforts to improve. Now, a lot of this stuff, it looks good on paper. It has to produce on the field. And you talk about receivers like Jalen Coker, an undrafted rookie last year who came in and became one of Bryce's favorite targets, as you mentioned. But that receiver room, which for the last couple of years has just been kind of veteran Adam Thielen still doing his thing into his mid-30s, and then everybody else, that receiver room has kind of gotten stacked virtually overnight with the addition of McMillan. You still have Leggett on the roster, last year's first-round pick. They brought in one of the best stories, I think, in football heading into training camp. Hunter Renfrow, former Clemson star. He's a walk-on for the Tigers, won a national championship, drafted by the Raiders, makes a Pro Bowl. He actually sat out last year entirely with ulcerative colitis. He lost a ton of weight. He was really sick. He worked an office job down in South Carolina, and now he's back playing football. He's in the receiver room. So you've added another Pro Bowl player. They drafted a really intriguing player in the late rounds, Jimmy Horn, who was one of Shedeur Sanders' targets outside of Heisman winner Travis Hunter at Colorado. He's a guy that a lot of fans, we talk about expectations. They want to compare him to Steve Smith Sr., one of the best players in franchise history already, but he's got a lot of really interesting attributes. So that receiver room to me has probably been, outside of the defensive line, the most improved unit on this team, because they sat there and said, look, Bryce was able to get it done at the end with Adam Thielen, Jalen Coker, and some of these other players, but let's continue to add more talent.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about expectations, the team's expectations, fans' expectations, the national media's expectations, and then you have Chris Mulcahy's expectations, which is basically that they're already winning the Super Bowl.
Going to the Super Bowl.
Don't know if you heard that yesterday, the whole breakdown of how things are looking that way.
Yeah, Nick, did you hear the conspiracy about the losing season, Ohio State, and playing the Jaguars week 1? So I was dropping that, so I was like, yeah.
Yeah, good find. I know there's a lot of Panthers fans out there that'll gladly don your same tinfoil hat on that one, Chris. But listen, sports are strange like that, right? We see stuff like that crop up all the time, and especially in the NFL. Like, where did this team come from? As much as the Panthers think they're on the track to kind of be that breakout team next year, who knows? I mean, they've made the improvements to where if things break the right way and the stars align, so to speak, they could be right there. And listen, a trip to the Super Bowl would be magnificent. I'm actually about to embark on season 10 here in Carolina. I'm a little hesitant to tell people that because of the way the last 10 years have gone. I think they might start looking at me a little bit. So I got here right after the last Super Bowl trip. I'd love to go to one this year too, Chris. We can tag team coverage on that one.
So Nick's saying we have a chance.
That would be fun.
So you're saying there's a chance, right?
Be?
Don't forget the alignment to J-Lo divorces.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
That's an important element as well. Okay.
So, okay, yeah. So I guess, I don't know where that stands, I'll be honest. But, yeah.
All right, Nick.
Thanks, sir. Appreciate it.